So one last thing to do in here, and that's really just to format our dates so that we display the time in here as distance in words as opposed to an actual date that we're seeing here. Now we're getting these dates in an ISO format, so we're going to need to pass the dates first of all using Date FNS, and then we can use the format distance function to provide the dates in a words format. So pretty straightforward, but let's head back to VS Code to achieve this. So let's head down to our date field inside here where we've got our comments.createdAt, and what we want to use here is format distance, and that's not going to let me automatically import this from Date FNS, so I'm just going to come up and import this manually and say import format distance from Date FNS. And what we also need to do is give this a date to compare against, so we'll say new date inside here. And if we go and take a look, we should find that our dates are now displaying the time in words, and if we just add another comment, then we get less than a minute. So that all looks good, and our chat functionality is working. We should really just go and check another activity just to make sure that we don't see any comments in there, and we can add other comments for different activities, and they're stored with that particular activity, and they persist when we refresh the browser. So there's just one more thing we need to do as well in this case, and what we need to do is initialize an empty array for our activity when we create an activity. Otherwise, if we create an activity and attempt to add a comment, then we'll fail because our activity doesn't have a comments array to push a comment into. So let's just head back to VS Code and we'll go to our activity store. And inside here where we create an activity, let's just find this in the list. And in here what we also want to do is just create an empty comments array. So we'll say activity.comments equals an empty array. And let's just go back and test we can create a new activity. So I'm going to create an activity called test comments and just give it a test and make it a film and pick a date and a time and test and click submit. And we get our new activity, and let's just make sure that we can add a comment, and we can. So that's all good. And what we'll do now, because we've come to the end of this particular section, is we'll just check to make sure we've not left any nasty warnings in our console. And that's fine, we get a lot of logging information from our hub connection, but I'm just going to leave that in place. And what we want to do is just go back to VS Code and stage and commit all of these changes. And we'll just say end of section 19. And then we'll stage and push these changes up to GitHub. And we'll finish this off with a quick summary.